Welcome back, guys. It's time for some new Cyberpunk builds. I have recently discovered the absolute craziest hacker build of all time, which will be the infinite RAM, infinite overclock, infinite Blackwall hacker build. This build is so powerful that it will simply obliterate everything that comes even close to you. With an additional 70% quick hack damage, you will actually never have to use Synapse Burnout ever again. All you need is infinite Blackwall all over the place. This build will allow you to keep up an infinite Blackwall hack spread to all your enemies around you. This is better than Songbird could have ever done it. As long as you keep up having enough health and having enough overclock, this Blackwall hacker build will spread the Blackwall hack infinitely to all your enemies. And of course, all this footage was recorded on very hard, and even max tag won't be a big problem with it. In order to get the infinite Blackwall spread, you have to use the Borrow Time perk from the tag tree. This skill gives you a free health item whenever you make a kill at low health. And these health items can be consumed instantly with Biomonitor, and the additional reflex tuner will also make sure that it slows down time, so you will always have the time to make a kill whenever you enter low health. Which means you will always get a new health item and always continue to spread your Blackwall hack. But you can make this even more efficient if you make additional kills with a Poser shotgun and a Neil mod. If you additionally start shooting the crowd or the ones which are not affected from the Blackwall hack, you will literally never run out of RAM. And the Poser will not only help you keep up your overclock, it will also allow you to quickly refill your overclock if you ever run out of it. Just fire a couple of shots into the crowd with the Poser and you can then start overclocking and Blackwall hacking everyone again. This is just so extremely powerful. Once you discover the power of Poser and the additional kills you get from it, you will never struggle to spread this to even 20 or 30 enemies at once. You can basically get infinite overclock without ever using Synapse Burnout. You will get so many kills from the Blackwall hack alone, plus the additional 7.5% duration per kill from the axolotl, and the additional slowdown effect of the reflex tuner will of course also slow down the cooldown effect of your overclock. And when you then make additional kills with the Poser, which will also count towards the axolotl effect, you're basically entering infinity mode. As a side effect from all those kills that you make so quickly, you will also trigger the reflex tuner to be almost permanently active. This is like the best Netrunner with infinite Sandevistan all in one. There are so many ways to play this build. Of course, one way is just to activate overclock and your health item, then just walk through the location and watch all your enemies dying from the infinite Blackwall spread. Or you go all in for the ultimate Blackwall Cyber Psycho using the Poser for infinite Blackwall spread and infinite overclock and infinite RAM. This is basically as powerful as Alt Cunningham or Songbird could ever dream to be. You can of course also go for a smart gun, and especially the pistol smart gun with its additional crit chance effect was an absolute blast while playing with this build. However, the Poser is probably still the much more powerful weapon and definitely my go-to weapon if I want to cause some real havoc. With this build we will also still fully enable air dash, and you will also get a ton of katana and melee skills so that you're still able to use your monowire or play with a katana as well. But now let's finally check out the build, guys. In the first weapon slot we'll put the Poser Xma 2. The Poser Xma 2 is an incredibly broken weapon. It has one of the biggest magazines, the fastest reload and the biggest spreads of all shotguns, and that is extremely helpful when you want to equip a Neil mod, because only one single pellet of your shotgun has to hit your enemy's limbs to make them instantly die from it, which is just insanely broken. And when you additionally add a firecracker mod, you will literally turn this into an absolute crazy killer machine. To get a Neil mod you have to be at least around level 30 or 40, then go to Wilson's shop and reload his shop until the Neil mod appears in his inventory. This can take up to 30 or 40 times sometimes because it is just extremely rare. The weapon itself can be found in Dogtown in a secret location that is only available and open after 1 AM in the morning. In the second weapon slot we will go for the Pistols, which is extremely great because it gives you an additional crit chance for every bullet you shoot with it. This weapon can also be acquired from a gig location in Dogtown, so if you complete all your gigs you will also have this weapon. In the third weapon slot we will go for the Byaku as a backup, because melee weapons are still the strongest weapons in the game and the Byaku is simply the best of it. You can of course also just rely on a monowire instead. The operating system of course will be the Militech Kanto Mark 6, the only Mark 6 Cyberdeck, which will allow you to use the Blackwall hack. As additional hacks I would recommend you to go for Memory Wipe, System Collapse, Synapse Burnout and Sonic Shock. I would always recommend you to upload Sonic Shock first to your enemies because it will reduce the cost of the Blackwall hack, and it will also make your Blackwall hack spread faster, because the farther it is behind in your queue, the faster it will upload and the faster it will spread. What you should also consider is the order of quick hacks. The last one here in the list will be the first one when you open your menu, so you should put Sonic Shock in the bottom one. If you do it correctly, the Blackwall hack will upload and spread almost as quickly as any other quick hack, which is extremely important because you want to spread it really fast. In our hand slot, we will go for the Smart Link to enable the lock-on function for the piss stats. The standard healing item will be a normal max stock, which can also be triggered and is as good as a blood pump, so you don't have to waste your capacity for it. And don't forget to use a helmet that increases your enemy's upload time, and use an eyewear that speeds up your own quick hack upload time. With this build, you will have up to 70% additional quick hack damage, and all your quick hacks will be 100% guaranteed crits anyway. This build will use up to 351 capacity, which is very close to the maximum possible legitimate limit. Make sure that you use Netrunner and Renaissance Punk and don't miss any of those collectible shards. If you want to remove items due to the lack of capacity, make sure that you don't remove the mandatory items, because these items are needed to make the build work as shown. One of the most important items, especially when you use a Blackwall hack, is X-Disk, because X-Disk will greatly increase your upload speed, which is very important when you use a Blackwall hack, and you also have to try to get a high roll of quick hack damage on all your items. You can use the Cyberware stats reroll. I will link you a video in the description that explains exactly how you can do that. In the second slot, we will go for the COX-2 optimizer, which will make all our quick hacks 100% guaranteed critical hits. And the axolotl is extremely important, especially if you don't use Synapse Burnout. The axolotl will prolong your overclock for every kill you make. And the reflex tuner will also help you while doing that. It is a very big misconception that many people think axolotl does not affect your overclock duration, but in fact it does. And the more kills you make, especially with infinite Blackwall spread, the more it will help you keeping it up. For the operating system, we will go for the Militech Canto Mark 6. In order to get this item, you of course have to side with Reed in the Phantom Liberty ending. In the optics, you can use the normal Kiroshi optics, but you can of course also swap out Second Heart and swap in the Cockatrice optics instead. That way you will have a much bigger crit chance for your other weapons. However, when using the Poser, this is really not needed at all. So my recommendation would be to go for Second Heart, or even go for the Blood Pump instead of Second Heart. If you want to use a monowire, you can of course also do that if you swap out Peripheral Inverse in favor of a normal carapace, then you can add whatever monowire you want. However, since I prefer mostly to use a katana instead, I rather go for the additional protection. In the skeleton slots, we will go for the Epimorphic Skeleton, because the Epimorphic Skeleton is not only giving us armor, it will also give us a big health boost, which is really important for Netrunner builds. We will go for Spring Joints, which will give us additional mitigation strength and RAM recoup. In this build we'll be using air dash, so the kinetic frame would make no sense, so we can also expect to get hit a bit more often, and RAM recoup will be perfectly for that. In the nervous system, we will go for the Neofibers, then of course Reflex Tuner, which is a really important item in this build, and in the last slot we will go for Stabber. Stabber will increase your crit chance whenever you use monowire or a blade. Since we are going for Reflex instead of Cool, the deep field interface won't make a lot of sense. However, if you have the capacity, you can of course still use it. In the integumentary system, we'll go for Shock and Awe. It's an extremely powerful item, and I highly recommend you to always use it in every build. Then we go for Peripheral Inverse. You can of course also use Carapace instead. And the last item here of course is Counter Shell. In every Netrunner build you will lose a lot of health, so Counter Shell will give you a lot of free mitigation. In the arm slots we will of course go for Smart Link and the Ballistic Coprocessor for additional stats. In the circulatory system we will go for Second Heart. Of course you can swap it out and use a Blood Pump here if you prefer, but to be honest with you, the Blood Pump is not better than a standard max stock. 99% of your health will come from borrow time anyway, so saving this capacity for either Second Heart or something else is a much better deal. The other two items will be of course Heal on Kill and Biomonitor, and of course don't forget to add the tendons for your double jump. To get the maximum out of this build, don't forget to use the Cyberware stats reroll and get quick hack damage on all your items. Regarding the skills, we go all in on 20 body, 20 tech and 20 intelligence as usual, but this time we also go 17 on reflex. In the body tree we get all the perks at the bottom, especially Doorpad, which gives you 100% mitigation chance whenever you use a health item. Then we get Adrenaline and everything that improves Adrenaline, and of course also the Finisher, which gives you an additional 20% health item recharge speed, which of course also helps extremely much as a Netrunner. it is not necessary to get any of the shotgun perks because the poser will work perfectly fine even without it. If we pot 17 points in reflex, we can go all the way up the center tree up to air dash, which is one of the most favorite perks for most players. If you want to improve your blade skills, you can of course also go for lead and steel and unlock flash and thunderclap, which is one of the most important skills for blades. If you want to improve your SMGs, I would rather recommend you to go for ready, rested, reloaded, mind over matter and the sharpshooter perks to increase your crit chance and critical damage even further. This tree is much stronger than the smart gun tree, so I would rather invest my points here. Under intelligence, we go for the center tree with optimization and proximate propagation to reduce the RAM cost as much as possible. Of course, we go for embedded exploit and system overwhelm to increase our damage, then overclock and everything that improves overclock, and spill over to spread our quick hacks. Even though the Blackwall hack will spread itself, but this can be used for other quick hacks as well. The left tree is mainly used to reduce your RAM cost, so every perk here in the center will further reduce the RAM cost of everything you do, and especially Q acceleration will help you to increase your upload speed, and Q mastery will even allow you to upload a Blackwall hack to Adam Smasher when you pot it in the final slot. The Blood Demon perk here in the center has been greatly reduced in its efficiency, but I would still recommend you to get it. But Feedback Loop and Data Recycler are much more important now to recover your RAM. Car Hacker can of course also be used if you want to hack cars, but as I already mentioned, the Smart Gun tree is a bit weaker than the SMG tree, so I prefer to go for SMG instead of the Smart Gun perks here. I've been cutting a few perks here in the tech tree, but we still go all things Cyber, License to Chrome and Netrunner of course to get the maximum capacity for our build. If you pot in a monowire, you can of course also go for a Cyborg, then Ambidextrous, Extended Warranty. Chrome Constitution will further reduce your damage, Renaissance Punk of course for more capacity, and then Driver Update and Shipware Connoisseur to use the Cyberware stats reroll. Shipware Connoisseur is a perk you can actually remove once you are finished with the stats reroll, but Driver Update must stay, otherwise you lose the perk. In the left tree we only go for Glutton for War and Health Freak, so we don't go for Pyromania this time, and here we also have the secret God Mod perk, which is Borrow Time. Without this perk the whole build and mostly every Netrunner won't really work, so absolutely get this perk, and then of course also get First Aid and Transfusion to further improve your health items. I went for Cool 4 for this build, but I didn't spend any perk points here. I did that only to unlock the Quick Getaway and Killer Instinct perks in case you want to go stealth at any point. So if you want to go stealth, you still have the option to select it or unselect it. The relic tree is not really important. You may want to get Vulnerability Analytics or the Emergency Cloaking or the Monowire stuff if you want to play with Monowire, but you will unlock the whole tree anyway. I hope you really like the new Blackwall hacker build. Please don't forget to subscribe, leave me a like, and see you next time.